Have you ever ridden a BMX bike down the side of a cliff wondering if you're going to make it out alive? I have. I looked down into that pit and I saw my own demise waiting for me at the bottom. I stared into that pit, staring into the depths of oblivion, and over the edge I went. I was 15 years old, pretty handy on a BMX, and my bike was as sturdy as it gets. I was ready. Or so I thought. I was with a few mates who also rode BMX, and we went to a disused gravel pit. This thing was a deep hole in the ground. If you fell in it, you'd die, and I'm pretty sure it would be an almost instant death. There just so happened to be an almost perfect track to follow right down the side of the hill. At least, that's how it appeared to my adolescent brain. I looked at it and decided it would be ideal to ride down, so long as getting out alive was optional. At that point in my life, I was what you might call an adrenaline junkie. If it was dangerous, would probably kill you, but would be a good time along the way, then I was 100% in. If it was insane and every shade of ridiculous, you best believe I'm right there. So there I was at the top. I tipped my front wheel over with confidence, or maybe arrogance, the jury's still out. As I went over the edge, a series of things I didn't expect to happen, happened. That almost immediately threw any notion of feeling ready right out the window. Have you ever heard the phrase adapt or die? It's never been more true for me than it was in that moment. The plan I started with was not the plan I needed. I needed to think fast. I dropped parallel to the hillside but not touching. I knew I needed to gently shift my weight backwards, but not too early, otherwise I would have bounced off the side of the cliff and landed face down in the bottom of the pit, probably dead. No, not probably. Definitely dead. Thanks to my quick thinking, I managed to gently shift my weight backwards at just the right time so that I hit the bottom of the incline in such a way that it prevented me from bailing out. Lady Luck saved me that day, and made me look like an absolute professional on a BMX. Life is like that sometimes, especially in business. Your copy needs to be able to respond to the needs and wants of your audience. It needs to be free-flowing and dynamic. It needs to connect with the hearts of your audience as well as their minds. Your copy needs to be adaptive to retain long-term usefulness. But what does that even mean? It means you need to pay attention to your audience, to listen to them, and understand their wants and needs. The world is a dynamic environment and people's needs are ever changing. The problem your customers face may remain the same, but their feelings and reaction to the problem will change. There will be other factors in the life of your customer that will affect the way they think, feel, act and react. 99.9% of those things will be outside of your control or sphere of influence, but that doesn't mean they should be ignored. You still need to be aware, which is why empathy is your most powerful tool. The marketing you put out into the world needs to capture the vibe of your audience. It needs to encapsulate the general feeling of that group, as well as how that directly relates to the individuals that make up that group. You need to be hyper aware of that group of people that you're targeting, i.e. your future customers, as well as the events in the world that will affect their lives, especially the events in the world that will affect their decision making when it comes to buying your product or service. One of the common things bothering people at the moment is the worryingly unstable state of the global economy. This perceived economic instability has an impact on the way people think about their problems, their financial decision making, and around how they spend their time. This translates to wanting to solve deeper, more meaningful problems over shallower and more superficial problems, being less willing to spend money on perceived non-essential things, and being less willing to commit long periods of time to anything. The result of this is that things that lean more towards entertainment and enjoyment are being pushed back, and things that are perceived to be of greater depth are less likely to be pushed back, but will bring with them a greater negative emotion. Understanding this and combining it with your existing knowledge of your ideal customer will enable you to tweak your content to ensure that it is relevant to how they are feeling. You'll be able to understand the mood of your customers, which in turn will mean that your content will hit home and resonate with them. I've got a challenge for you. Are you ready? It's really easy, it's really simple, and you're going to love it. So what I want you to do is I want you to take an existing piece of content and I want you to make some minor changes to it. Just some small adjustments, some little tweaks so that it fits the mood of your audience right now as you can see them. So that it is relevant to them in the world that they currently live in. And when you've done that, I want you to post your links in the comments. In this video, I shared with you something that will help you become a greater and more versatile writer. But more importantly than that, it will help you take old content, tweak it and make it relevant for your audience right now, which in turn leads to creating deeper and more meaningful connections with your audience. Connections that will be longer lasting and, for you as the business, more fruitful. Deploying this tactic will ensure that your content stays relevant for all of time, so that you can modify your existing content so that your message remains the same but it never loses relevance. And that is nothing short of a superpower.